I definitely want to, and I definitely want to pursue that more in Vastum too.
Yeah.
I think the world is ready for something different in death metal.
Yeah,
that we don't have to stick to the same tropes over and over again.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now.
Okay, Leila, thank you so much for your time today. It's good to see you again. It's good to talk to you again. You're always working on something, so I always know that it's never too long that I'll have to wait to talk to you again. And now there's buzz again, because whenever Vastum is releasing anything in the dark, deep underground of extreme metal, there's always buzz, which is cool to see. So as we're talking, we're 2 weeks away, roughly, of the new album coming out. So what does that mean for you? I know that it doesn't mean that you just finished this music, but is there like an anxiety and stress and pressure growing to see what the reactions will be? Or are you kind of like, well, music that's coming out in 2 weeks from now, that's really old news for me already. What's going through your mind right now?
Yeah, I am a little, I am wondering what people are going to think. I don't know if I'm as stressed about it as I was when we were actually trying to get the album done in time, so it would actually come out in November. That was really stressful because everyone's so busy. We only had like less than 2 weeks to like record, mix, master, artwork, everything. Like just so little time, but we got it done. And so that was the biggest stress. And but yeah, it's this album, it's a little different from the other ones. So it's some elements are a bit of a departure. So that might, we might lose some people, we might gain some people. It's the same thing. Every time you put out an album, you gain and you lose fans all the time.
You guys are now the longest running band on 20 Buck Spin, and it's kind of cool because they've really created this quality label almost that comes with that with the name 20 Buck Spin, where people are blindly buying what they're putting out because they've become this trustworthy brand of finding really interesting new stuff. So that is a bit of a statement that for so long they want to put your music out. Is that something that you think about at all?
I didn't even know that was the case till it came out in the press release that it was like, oh, we were the longest running band. Which is cool. It's like we've really got to see the label progress and kind of explode, which has been this amazing feat. I mean, really impressive. To just be putting out more and more bands, more diverse set of bands, but quality bands, and not like sacrificing sort of the uniqueness of the output, and that's hard to do as a label. Some labels can kind of turn into factories, and they just put out like whatever they think is going to sell, but no, Dave really curates the stuff that he puts out. So I think people know that and they trust his taste.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome.
They've kind of become like the road burn of like festival of labels. It's like people just go like, well, I kind of know what to expect, even if I don't exactly know every band. Yeah, that's cool. Now, going from something like interesting and fun and positive to the darker, bleaker side of things that you guys deal with on this album, we're seeing themes where lost faith is something that comes back in many times, and sometimes as a metaphor, sometimes not. It's even though some of musical sounds are a little bit more new and fresh and what have you, this is a dark album, looking at it from the lyrics perspective and what have you. Is it just as simple as, well, ever since the last Vastum album came out, not that you guys were, hippie rainbow lollipops and sunshine before, the world simply went into a horrible, horrible time. Did that all just find itself into the album, or is that too shallow of me, and should I dig more?
I think partially, yes. A lot of what's been going on in the world, and a lot of what you can witness if you come visit the Bay Area, the wealth disparity,
right?
The the houselessness, the addiction, everything, and that has definitely worked its way into the themes
right.
of this album. But we've always been a dark band. I mean,
right. Yeah.
This is album number 5, and if you go even carnal law, patricidal lust, even those titles, alone are quite bleak. And
yeah.
So a lot of it, a lot of the themes are consistent from album to album, but yeah, I'd say these past few years have taken an extra turn for the worse.
Yeah.
And it's made it a lot more inspiring to make even darker music. I think we were dark, and we're just getting darker, and we're just digging deeper into that abyss.
With the Catholic symbolism or the Christian symbolism, and certain concepts or names or storylines that you guys use to tell your story, well, if we follow that, I am not a religious person, but I do know that if we follow the storyline sort of where you are taking us down, the next step would be a resurrection of sorts. So we're now in this deep, dark pit, if you will. Where do you see that then going?
Wow. This is probably better asked. It's too bad that Dan Butler isn't here, because he really was the one that created this particular concept in the album. Right. With I believe he had a Catholic upbringing. I did not. I did have a religious upbringing, Islamic upbringing, and that is its own thing. But I don't know if there's a resurrection to be had. I don't know if Dan would say that would be sort of the light at the end of the tunnel, because I don't think there's any light at the end of this tunnel. But yeah, Inward to Gethsemane is in the agony garden where Jesus was brought before his crucifixion. Yeah, I think we're tapping more into just the darkness aspect of that. And not really seeking, although I don't know. I never know what Dan is going to say when he answers questions. It's so. For sure.
But it is interesting because, and the reason why I bring it up is the way the album flows, and specifically with what then becomes the epic closer of the album, the second single that you guys have released, Corpus Fractum. It really does, we see a lot of new elements seep into the music, and it really feels like almost, it's the last song on the album, but it could easily be, here's the first song of what's next. It almost feels like it sets the stage for whatever's coming, and then it's hard for me to believe that will take another 5 years before whatever's next is coming our way. Am I seeing ghosts and I'm a little bit too optimistic here, or is there some truth to that this song connects Vastum of quote unquote yesterday with Vastum of tomorrow?
You are not the first person to make this observation. I think there is some truth to that. This particular song, actually wanted it to be the opener of the album. I wanted it to be this album's statement. With a song that epic, it either needs to open or close the record. And we fought. This was the biggest stress of getting this album out, was the 5 of us trying to agree where was the song going to go, at the beginning or the end. And finally some of us compromised and said, well, okay,
Some of us being you.
Well, yeah, for sure. I compromised on the last record too. I just never seemed to get my way. Yeah, I think that's a really cool way to look at it, because it is a new direction that we're trying to go in. Having sort of this longer form, more spacious, more epic, more layered sound, which I definitely want to pursue on future releases. So yeah, absolutely.
And fair to say that, not a surprise to people that know what you do outside of Vastum, but it did.
You'd be surprised.
The moment that I heard that song for the first time, I was immediately thinking back to your latest solo ambient album, because that does, in the background of that song, we feel those elements come out as well. So maybe you had to compromise on where the song was on the album, but clearly there's a lot of Leila in that song.
Yeah, I think that's a good observation. Although Dan had a lot to contribute with the samples, and he wrote the lyrics to that song. So it definitely was a collaboration. But yeah. I got my stamp in there for sure. But it was also the hardest song to write. It was the first song I started working on back in 2020. So even before we talked the last time, I was working on that. Yeah. And I got a little stuck, and I rewrote it a bunch of times, and I kind of finished it like this year, but then I left it open so that when we were in the studio, we could improv a little bit around certain sections of the song, make certain sections longer, just kind of be spontaneous with the layering, because honestly, I didn't know I was going to throw clean vocals on there till kind of the last minute. And it was just something that was like, I wanted to make subliminal in the song. I didn't want it to be like something that you really focus on and like, oh, here's this operatic vocal section. Like, no, I wanted it to be like kind of buried in the mix. Because like the vocals in general are they're a little lower in the mix, I'd say, overall on the whole album, which I think makes it eerier. It's the way I like to mix vocals on a death metal album. People are on different pages about that, but there's something ghostly about it, especially when there's harmonies and they're kind of creating this dissonance with the guitars, but you're not quite sure if it's a vocal or a keyboard and that kind of thing. And I do a lot of that sort of in my own work, just a lot of this sort of disorienting compositional style, and I definitely want to pursue that more in Vastum too. I think the world is ready for something different in death metal, that we don't have to stick to the same tropes over and over again.
I mean, not that Vastum plays 300 shows every year, but
or ever.
But when you are thinking about playing this new music for a live audience, how do you see that come to life then? Like, I was actually earlier today, I was talking to a different band, completely different genre, and also like, oh yeah, I kind of just made up my lyrics as I went into the studio to record them. And I was like, but now I have to rediscover what I actually said, because I don't know, I didn't write it down, and I have to now learn it, because I do want to give it the exact same when I do it live. Or are you similar to that, or are you more like, well, when we recorded it was a little bit impromptu, if you will, and we'll allow some jammy moments in live shows? Like, what's your approach for that?
Vastum, as much as like we like to improvise with the layers in the studio, and it's usually Dan and I doing most of that, but we're not a very improvisational band in general. Like as soon as the song was recorded, that's the song.
Gotcha.
And that's how we're going to play it live. How we're going to work the vocals live. We are going to do the song live. We absolutely want to do it live.
Right.
Will be a challenge. But the lyrics, the lyrics have all been written. They're printed in the album jacket, so they're there.
There, all right.
But what's interesting is that we don't always sing everything that's there. We'll pick sections of it.
Okay.
So we have all these like unsung lyrics that are in there, which I think is cool because then you sort of get the whole story.
Right.
But because when we're setting the lyrics to the song and making vocals, certain lines we want to repeat, and maybe not all the things that we're writing will fit. So
right.
But yeah, I'd say in general it's the song is set. I don't know how I'm going to do the harmonies. Maybe I can wrangle in one of the guys to back me up or something, but that should be kind of fun.
You jokingly said or commented on the fact that Vastum doesn't play a whole lot of shows, but you also said we are going to play the song live, and when we're going to play it live, we're going to try to do it this way, or we'll have to figure this out. So the only logical question that I can ask you is, what is being planned, or what are you hoping to do in this coming year? Like, what can we keep our eyes open for?
Next year, we were invited to play a couple of festivals. I can't disclose it yet because the offers aren't officially set in stone. We're negotiating right now. The other big bomb I'm about to drop is that our other guitar player, Shelby, is no longer in the band, and we're auditioning guitarists right now. And we have a couple of very strong contenders, I'm happy to say. So that's looking to be very promising, and I think we'll have things shaped up in no time. So we have to do all that until we can actually confirm everything. But yeah, there better be live shows next year. I will make sure of it.
It's super exciting to have a new album come out. I know the fans have been waiting for a long time, and we're very vocal about that at times as well. So it's great to see that this new album's coming out. Leila, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. It's always fun talking to you. And like I said, either before we started recording or in the beginning, I forget right now, but I really hope to see many shows announced and that we can finally make it work to see you on a stage.
That'd be awesome.
In person.
Toronto's got so much good death metal, so
there you go.
That's definitely a goal.
We'll come to you as long as you
in that
play.
Case.
Well, on behalf of Toronto, please come. Please come to our city. Awesome. I don't want to be the guy here locally that told Vastum, like, don't worry, don't come. Like, we'll all fly over. But anyway, awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, and I can't wait to see you.
Thanks, Jasper. Thanks so much. Good to see you again.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.